In this video, I will show you how to make quick and easy hat with the super silver yarn black, and you're gonna need some needles for hand knitted hat. So to begin, I'll need 63 stitches. If you like to make a perfect fit hat, you can check some of your existing hats and measure, knit a small swatch piece and measure how many stitches you would need for the first row. So in my case, it's gonna be 63 stitches for the first row. So to begin, you're gonna make a first slip knot like this, tie it a little bit and put it on the needle, and then you continue for the first row to add stitches until you reach 63 like this. It's adult hat and I would make it stretchy, so for this person I usually need S and well-fitted hat, so here it is. I'm working on it. A great idea for last minute Christmas gift that you can just make it yourself or to fill Christmas stockings. So my first row is ready. I have all the 63 stitches. Now I would start knitting 2 purls and 2 knit stitches for the whole row, switching the same pattern, 2 purls and 2 knit stitches. And this would be for the brim of the hat. So I have 2 purls, 2 knit, 2 purls, 2 knit, and the next 2 are purls. So my yarn is on the front. And then I move the yarn on the back for the knit stitches. If you don't know how to do purl and knit stitches, you can check some of my knitting videos. There's instructions on how to knit purl and knit stitch. And I'll put it in the link below as well. And you continue for the whole row with 2 purl and 2 knits. So that's the first row, and I finished the first row with a knit stitch. So when I go on the second row, my first stitch will be a purl. Follow the same pattern as the first row, and the second 2 stitches would be knit, and then 2 purls and 2 knit. So I start with my purl on the second row, and then 2 knit stitches, and we're gonna do exactly the same pattern until we knit probably about 10 rows for the brim. So I needed 1 purl, 2 knit, and then 2 purl stitches, and 2 knits. until you reach the end of the row. You repeat the same pattern, 2 purl, 1 purl, 2 knits, and as followed from the previous row you repeat. So I just finished this row with 2 knit stitches. At this point I will move my working yarn on this needle so I can connect both sides and just knit in a circle. I should have done this on the first row, but since I forgot, it's still not a problem. I will connect when I finish this teeny tiny parts with a needle. So on the first row I casted on 63 stitches, then I did the second row and the third row, and this would be my fourth row, repeating on this side I'll have purl stitch and two knit stitches coming up. So my yarn is on this needle. I just finished this side and I'll continue with the opposite side by moving my needles so I can start knitting it in a circle. And as I said, my first stitch coming, it's from the bottom row. I check it's a purl stitch, and then I would have 2 knit stitches after that. So purl, tie it a little bit, and 2 knit stitches. And then again purl, 2 stitches, and knit for the next 2 stitches. From this row on, I'll continue to knit all the 63 stitches in a circle until we reach the crown of the hat, and then I will let you know how well I knit the crown. So I have 2 purl, and 2 knit. As you can see, my first few rows are separated, but from this row on they're gonna be connected, which is not a problem. I can just connect the first couple of rows with a needle at the end. So now I'll move some more stitches on this needle. So I can continue to knit in a circle. And this is the 4th row. Continue until the end of the row, and then we're gonna have a few more rows with the brim after that. So at this point I'll add stitch marker to let me know where is the beginning of each row so I can count my rows, but it's still visible since I did like 4 rows without connection, and I'm in the beginning of the 5th row, and the stitch that's coming, it's a purl stitch. The way I continue to knit in a circle is by splitting my yarn into 3 portions and moving along. When I finish this, I would move this to this needle, and then again continue with splitting in 3, so you can do it in kind of like a triangle, circle, something like that until the end of the hat. You can obviously use bigger needles with a longer string, but that's what I have currently, so that's the way I'm gonna work. As I said, on the 5th row, I continue with a purl stitch. So I just finish all of my stitches from this needle, and I'm gonna split about 1/3 of the stitches are going on this needle. By pulling the string, the cable a little bit. So that's about 1/3 of the stitches, and then split another third going in the middle, and 1/3 on the last needle that we just finished. So I just need 2 stitches, and I have single purl stitch coming up, and then 2 more knit stitches. If you get too many stitches on the right needle, you can move them in the middle and continue to knit. So here is how my hat looks like so far. So I did 1 row for the cast on and 10 rows for the brim. From here I would like to make a chest pattern, so I'll be doing 5 of each, 5 purl and 5 knit stitches for each row, and for the remaining stitches, which will be 3 extra stitches, I will do a small part of a chest pattern as well on the 3 stitches. So I would like to mention that I'm doing this on 6mm hooks, which is a little bit bigger than what the yarn calls for, but I like the way it looks. So and those are the needles that I currently have for this thickness of yarn. The request for this hat was the person did not like to be folded, so it's gonna be like not a very long knit, but I'll be showing you along the way how it looks like, and it's gonna be stretchy, so it can fit more sizes than what I earlier mentioned. So I'm gonna start now with 5 purls, and then I will do 5 knits, and I will continue for the whole row until I'm done. So at this point my last stitch is purl, but I'm not counting this as part of the chest pattern because this is the beginning of my project. So I'll start with 5 rows because I'm not following anymore the ripped pattern that I just used for the brim. And then 5 knits. Move the yarn on the back of the needles and do the knit stitch. So after the brim I did 5 rows, repeating 5 rows and 5 knit stitches. At the end of each row I have 3 extras, so I decided to match them with the beginning of the row. So at the end and the beginning you're gonna have like 8 stitches that gonna be each in the same pattern for 5 rows. So currently I have them with purl stitch, and this is my 5th row after the brim, so I'll switch to knit stitch to make it like a chest pattern for the next 8 stitches. As you can see, it starts to form a little bit. That's just the first few squares of the chest pattern, but soon you're gonna be able to see it in a much more visible and better way. So I'll finish the row with the 3 stitches and then the 5 stitches the way I did it since the brim. With the knit pattern, with the knit stitch. And this is the only spot where you're gonna have a pattern with 8 stitches. The rest will still continue with 5 stitches for each square. And since here the previous pattern was 5 stitches of knit stitches, I'll continue with purl so I can make the chest pattern. The next coming 5 stitches are purl, so I will do the knit for another 5 rows. So here's the hat so far. I started with 63 stitches for the brim for the first row, then I needed 10 rows for the brim, rotating purl and knit stitches to purl and to knit, and then I continue with the chest pattern, again rotating 5 purl this time and 5 knit stitches, doing 4 sets, so I got 20 rows so far. And at this point I'll start working on the crown of the hat. Since I did have 63 stitches, one of my squares is 8 by 5 and the rest are 5 by 5. So this part will probably be on the back. If you want to have even number and exact number of squares, you should be doing like 65 stitches. But I was looking for this size of a hat, so here it is so far. At this point I will start knitting on the face of the hat only knit stitches, and I will do a decrease each 4 stitches after each 4 stitches. So here it is how it's gonna work. I start by doing 4 stitches knit and decrease by knitting 2 together. So I'll grab these 2 stitches and we'll knit them as one, and then we'll continue with knitting another 4 stitches with the knit stitch and decrease again 2 stitches knitted together. Again, I'll knit another 4 stitches so continue for the whole row, decreasing after each 4 stitches, and the next row I'll tell you how we're gonna continue. So after I did 4 knit and decreased after each 4, I'm left at the end of the row with 2 stitches. I'm going to knit these stitches and continue the whole row with the knit stitch only. One row, full row with knit stitches. So this is row number 3 for the crown. Again, we continue only with knit stitches, and on this row I'll be decreasing after each 4 stitches that I will be knitting. So I just knitted 4 and I decrease by knitting 2 together, and then again knit 4. Decrease the next 2 stitches And you continue to do this until the end of the row. For the coming row, you're gonna do a whole row with knit stitches without any decreases again. So this is the third row. Fourth row we do only knit stitches without decreases, and then we're gonna continue with the rest. So this is the fifth row of the crown that I will start now, and I'll do the same like what I did on the first row, decreases after each 4 stitches, the same that I did on the third row. So I'm gonna repeat the same thing. Fifth row will be with decreases, sixth row will be only knit stitches. So first, third, and fifth row will be decreases of on the crown. So here is the hat. I did decreases on the crown on row 1, 3rd, and 5 and 5th. Then I knitted fully the 6th row, and from here I will do only knit stitches for about 5 more rows maybe, and then I'll finish the hat. So no more decreases. This will require only knit stitches from now until the end of the hat. So here is how the hat looks like. At this point I will start working on closing the circle at the top of the crown. I ended up having 12 rows of knit stitches for the crown, and the total length of my hat is about 7.5 inches. And about 7.5 wide, so very stretchy. And you can see the chest pattern. At this point I will cut the thread. And use a needle to take off all of the stitches from my needles. At this point you can remove your markers if you used some. I split my stitches in half, so I'll start taking the stitches off of this needle. Like this. Until I get off all of the stitches from my needles. So this is the last stitch I'm taking off from my needles. And I'll begin tying the top of the crown, the circle. You may have to run your needle a few times and sew it on the inside, or just pull a little bit more, as much as you can. And then you'll be done. You can add some decorations like a flower or pom-pom or anything you wish, but I'm making it for men, so black works well. And I'm not going to be adding any pom-pom for the top. So at this point I'll just flip the hat and I'll sew it on the inside so I can completely close this hole. And I would be sewing this little part from the beginning that is like 4 rows, which I did not connect, with the same thread as well, and then my hat will be done. You can just run a few times the needle to close the hole. As you can see, there's no hole, but I will properly secure it and knit it a few more times so it won't get untangled, and then I will tie a small knot on the inside. And this is the last part that I will be fixing, and I'll show you the finished result. So here is the finished hat. It's a small size. If you like to subscribe, if you like to support my channel, please give a like, subscribe, share, or comment. And thank you for watching.